So yesterday, I decided to create and implement a GooseChase for the entire fifth grade classes. So that was about 106 fifth graders. This was something that I've never done before. So I did ask my technology director to kind of help me and guide me because she has created many of these for large groups like that. So together, this is something that we created. I kind of created all the missions and things like that, but I did have her look things over and help me be a little more creative because she knew what would work well and what would not. This was a really great formative assessment to use because it allowed students to be active, and I have a super active class this year and competitive class, but it also allowed them to take all the concepts that were taught the last few weeks and apply them to real life application, and not so much real life, but also take those skills and apply it, and not just in a paper pencil type way, but going around and finding specific angles or making angles and things like that. So, looking at this was all the missions that we had. There were 30 missions that we created, and each mission was worth a different amount of points. So, if you look over here, you can see that we had one 50-point question, we had 16 10-point questions, things like that. And the harder the question, the more points it was worth. And so we also added a few, I think there were three that we added in that were more fun and more for students who work on those collaboration skills and social skills. But we had students looking for adjacent angles and we showed images for them. So, like for this one, we had them looking at angle NGE and they had to tell us if it was greater than or less than 95 degrees. They had to identify polygons. They had to go run not only in the elementary side of our school, but the middle school and high school. And a lot of these students had never been on that side of the school before, so that was fun. And they had to go look at the ceiling and see polygons. They had to find missing angles. Um, they had to read a specific decimal out loud to make sure it was read out loud. Um, they had to find different angles in the hexagons. They had to do measuring tiles, things like that. So there's tons of different ones. This one they had to go to the gym actually, and they had to find and identify what angle was on the backboard. They had to go through the fifth grade classrooms. One of them was actually they had to teach another student what isosceles triangle is. That was one of my favorite ones. They had to create a parallelogram using objects. They had to go to the high school wing and look at the teachers' names and find a math teacher whose last name included two parallel line segments. So there's so many different missions that we had. This was the 50-point one, and they actually had to look at this tennigram set and create one of those using paper cutouts that they had to create on their own. So that was really fun too. Um, we had teachers and volunteers sitting throughout the entire school helping students make good choices. I was actually running the technology side of things. So as missions were being submitted, I was looking at them and either sending them back because they didn't do it correctly or giving them feedback instantly. So if they didn't do something correctly, they could actually have the chance to go back and do it. That made things a little stressful on my end, but I'm really glad I did that because students, like I said, had instant feedback. So I thought it was a really great learning experience. When my students got done, they all ran back to my room and they're like, we need to do this every day. So they were super excited about it. Um, this was the activity feed that I saw. So this is what would come up on my end of students creating different things. So I know at one point I had 350 notifications I had to look through, but we did it for an hour and I was getting through everything. So it worked really, really well. So students got really into it. I could spend a lot of time showing you all their pictures and things that they submitted, but then they could also see the leaderboard. And like I said, we had teachers staying all around the school. So they were texting me being like, okay, this team, give them 20 extra points because they were being really respectful, but deduct 10 points from this team because they were running in the hallway or being loud. So each team also had a geometry type name, so that made it really fun too. So as you can see, we had 24 teams. So we have not announced the winner yet, but we will on Monday, and we will be giving a prize to those that winning team. So like I said, this was a great opportunity because students actually got to take that skill or those skills that they've been learning and use them. But I was able to get feedback, and now we can actually go back and look at how they did. So we can look at the submissions, and we can see through each, like this was each different mission, and we can go through and be like, okay, well, we know that for the most part, if I go to this one, they had to say a decimal out loud, and we can go through all the groups and be like, okay, well, I know that 90% of the fifth grade students really know how to do this, so I maybe don't need to spend a lot of time with that. So I can go submission by submission and be like, okay, this is the skills that they know, or these are the skills that we might want to spend a little more time on before our test. So it gave us, as fifth grade teachers, a little more of an idea of what we need to spend more time on this week before we give the test.